Welcome to the Sample Podcast, the number one social dynamics podcast in the world. My guest today is a man that I found on TikTok. He has a hilarious take on dating and relationship. He is now skyrocketing and become a megastar on the platform. Mr. Chris Nappy, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, man.
I love the name Confidence Chris. You do have confidence. Have you always have confidence, or did you?
No, hell no. I still don't. I'm a fraud. No, I feel like I do. It's honestly weird how I even came with that name, because to me, I'm like, it's kind of corny a little bit, but I was just like, all right, like whatever. I posted like one girl. I posted one TikTok about hot girls, and it just started popping off. And I was like, I could do this shit. And I changed it to Confidence Chris. Next thing you know, it just turned into this whole fucking thing. It's crazy.
I had a look, and so over the pandemic, you're working a 9-to-5 corporate job. And then what made you go, you know what, I'm going to try TikTok? Or was it the buzz around, the pandemic and stuff? You were just bored as hell?
Honestly, this is going to sound crazy, but I actually knew I kind of wanted to do like entertainment and some sort of like, not really TikTok. TikTok was just the avenue, but I always knew I wanted to get into entertainment or some sort of like social media content creation type work. I have a friend who like blown up since we were like kids on YouTube, and I always just like wanted to do it. I just never had the courage to really do it. And then finally I knew I wanted to do something. I started off like a little YouTube channel, like with this weird vlog I was doing. And then I saw like TikTok popping off, and I was just like, you know what, fuck it. I'm just going to post every day and see what happens. And literally that's pretty much just what happened. I started posting every day, found the things that like I was good at, and it just kind of took off. So it's crazy.
Verified, million followers now, and 35 million likes worldwide. I went through your things, and I was going to try count the views to like impress you. And I got to about 50 million. I lost track. I was like, fuck this. I can't keep it. But yeah, so many views worldwide. That's crazy. So you're in a 9-to-5. Are you still in that 9-to-5? Because I've heard you've taken a little break now. What's
yeah. So I'm done. I just quit, I think about a week or two ago. Scary ass shit, because I was hot. I was hot boy summer coming into this last month, and these last 3 weeks, I've really hit a wall mentally. In terms of posting, I feel like uncomfortable right now putting myself on TikTok. So I'm in a really weird place. Like I left my job, but I'm also just like, now there's all this fucking pressure to like post on TikTok and do all this stuff because I took the leap. And now it feels like, the world is kind of caving in on me. So I'm at an interesting juncture in my little career, but yeah, I just left the job, and honestly, thank the Lord. I knew I didn't want to really do it, and I'm pretty happy. It is honestly crazy though, because like, man, like I bought a house, I got a lot of expenses. I'm going to be real honest with y'all. Like I was making 6 figures plus at my old 9-to-5 job. And like, now it's like, I'm lucky if I'm getting half that at this point. So it's just a huge change. It's a huge risk. But I'm willing to do it because this is the shit I'm passionate about. And I love helping people. And honestly, I know it's only a matter of time before it really, really blows up and takes off. So
it's funny when you have to take that, like a pay drop, like a gap, you know what I mean? But you also have the upside of it could go like really viral, you know what I mean? But it's that one moment. Do you stay? Do you be comfortable? Do you kind of like enjoy the process that you're doing? I'm sure you enjoyed your job. You look like you enjoyed your job from what I saw. So you were a consultant for Deloitte, was it?
Yeah, it's because I was a management consultant for Deloitte. So I'm pretty well educated. I got my master's in business management. I do computer information systems. I was doing like a lot of like IT work with Fortune 500 companies. So it was really crazy, like my life. It literally was going into work, like helping out like VPs of giant Fortune 500 companies, and shooting a fucking TikTok and telling a 20-year-old girl how to deal with her dating life. So it was just a lot of like different things I was juggling at once. But like I said, it was just kind of crazy that like this is all kind of come to this point now. But there was an idea in the back of my mind that I wanted to do some sort of entertainment, that I wanted to do some sort of like online work. So I heard that voice deep down inside, and I just finally followed it. I wish I did it earlier.
How fucking good. Let's take it back. The dating advice that is different from where I grew up, or I grew up in. You have this hilarious take. So take us back to Chris, where you learned all this, like take us back to your childhood and stuff like that, and what kind of sculpted you into the man you are today.
Well, I'll tell you this. I definitely wasn't a man throughout high school that had a ton of opportunities.
Okay.
And it's crazy because, okay, so this is just me being really candid.
Yeah, I love it.
So something happened where I was like growing very slow. Like I didn't lose my baby teeth until like I was like 16. I was about 5 foot. I want to say junior year of high school. I was tiny person. And then all of a sudden, like senior year of high school into college, I finally started growing. So what happened was, I think like early in my life, I think what it was is like, I was someone that wasn't really getting girls. I was always the person that people were coming to for advice and just kind of seeing and observing it from the outside. I was never actually really involved in it until like my junior, senior year. That's when I got my first girlfriend. That's when everything started picking up. But I always had to get by with like my comedy and my wit. It wasn't really like I was getting girls and like, doing all this crazy shit. I wasn't ever like that. So it's really coming from a place that where I knew I had nothing, or I wasn't able to get much or whatever. And just kind of having to use my brain and to observe and connect with people on a different way than just my looks. And then honestly, again, as it just kind of evolved over time, I've always just been like, I don't know, some sort of guy or a leader or a therapist for people. People have always just kind of gravitated towards me in terms of like their personal life and their dating stuff. Like throughout college, I started a fraternity when I was in college. I was the president for 2 years. And I just feel like, I don't know what it is about me, but I just feel like I've got this like infectious like personality. And I think I have a really good way of articulating the way that I feel. And I kind of I'm able to observe it on other people and tell them how they're feeling too. So I don't really know exactly like how this all happened, other than the fact that like, again, I think a lot of people just trust me with their shit. And the other big thing is too, is like, I just really believe in being an honest, open person. Like, I'm just going to be real as fuck. I'm going to tell you what I'm doing, what's going on. And when you're that honest with people, I'm able to crack people open like a nut. You know what I mean? Like quickly, I can meet somebody in 5 minutes and we're talking about their deepest insecurities in their life. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like I had that ability and that mojo. And eventually, again, I got to the point where I was helping so many people. And now I just started putting the things that I was like telling my friends about, I guess, realistically online. And it just kind of just popped off from there.
Yeah, because it's definitely, popped off in such a big way, especially with your female audience. So I feel like that empathy that you definitely put into your videos just resonates a lot with them. I was going to say, at 16, you probably, they found that vaccine around the edge of the bleachers or something. They talk about it. I'm like, yo, I see, guys getting vaccinated all the time behind my gym, every week. It's like a meeting.
I mean, I'm so confused. What does that even mean? Vaccinated at 16?
Oh no, it's like so like steroids and stuff like that.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't even want to get into that conversation, honestly. I really don't.
I love it. And that's where it's so, because I was having a look and I was like, man, you've had a transformation over the last couple of years, especially with like when you first started, because I went through all the videos, I went through and you've shaped up, you got your tats done, you got everything. It's fantastic to see you. I think one of the biggest things that I noticed about you, and I was going to tell you, is that you incorporate this thing called the law of state transference, because you're so infectious and you have this openness to you. Other people feel so open to kind of to like your stuff, to enjoy it, to laugh at themselves and stuff like that. Did you cultivate that? Is that something you've tried to always? Did you get taught that from your mom and dad, or your brothers and sisters, or anything like that?
That's what I'm saying. I don't really know where it came from, but I realistically, I just know, like, for me personally, it's like my biggest value is like, I don't want to lie. I don't want to lie. I have no reason to lie to people. I have no reason to deceive people at all. Like, listen, I do toxic shit. I fucked plenty of girls over in my life. Dead ass. Like, not even joking. Like, I know I have. But at the same time, it's like my goal is to tell you the truth at all costs. I'll overshare. Like, I have ruined so many of my first dates. Like, I've had girls, like, I was on FaceTime with this girl I met on Hinge one time. And I was like, yo, you should come over. And she's like, no, I'm scared. I was like, no, don't worry. I got chlamydia. Like, I can't have sex with you. And she was just like, and you know what I mean? I'm just like saying this shit as if it's like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, that's cool. That makes sense. Like, someone's just going to tell me some shit. And that's just the way I am. I'm just like, I'm not here to hide shit from people. I never liked that. And I don't know where I really got it from, other than the fact that, like, I just want to live an honest life, because honestly, here's the other thing too. I don't want to have to remember anything. And guess what? When you don't lie, guess what? You don't have to remember shit, because I just know, I'm like, okay, true. I probably told you the truth. There's no need to go back in my mind and think, okay, do I have to feel guilty about something? Do I have to like think about what I said to you?
Sarah, I said this. Jasmine, I said that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's way easier when you just live life honestly, because like for me, it just makes me happier. So I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, people want to live the life they want to live. I mean, I know a ton of people that just like, it's like lying is almost part of their personality. Really,
Yeah, they
like
just get so used to it.
habitual liar. Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know which one's right. I don't know what's going to make you happier. For me, just being a real, honest, genuine person is always like been my biggest goal. And I feel like that's really what it comes down to. Is it really is like, that's what makes me so frustrated about my TikTok. And I think that what makes it very hard for me too, because I really feel like I should be way bigger. There's just so many periods in my time that I've had TikTok where I will just stop posting for 3 weeks. Like I have kind of this last 3 weeks. And it's really hard for me because sometimes I want to be my genuine self on there. And sometimes I don't know how to do it in a pre-made video. That's why I love the podcast. That's why I love like doing a TikTok live, because you're seeing me and talk to me real life. There is no holding shit back or trying to make a certain message or whatever. And with the TikTok with like pre-made content, it becomes hard sometimes because I'm like, if I pull the camera out and I'm like talking and I'm doing this 17 times, it's automatically almost inauthentic in a way.
Yeah.
And I kind of don't really like that. And I don't know. So like, I love the TikTok, but at the same time, I'm at the point where I'm like, fuck it. I want to do the podcast. Like I love that stuff, but I need to find a way to like bring my genuine self out more and more and more. Like you see it, but I want it to be like hard genuine. And it's just really hard to kind of do that.
Oh, I love that. I love that because in the guys that I deal with, mostly I have a mentorship where I teach a lot of guys how to be the best version of themselves, how to get out of their shell, how to learn how to talk to girls and stuff like that. And so, seeing you and seeing that energy, that's one thing that I found that a lot of guys don't, that they're so inward with it. Their energy is stuck with them, and in kind of like a selfish way, they're stuck with them. They don't want to expose themselves to the world or even share themselves. And that's what the beauty of like someone like you is, like you share that. Doesn't matter who, someone's going to listen to it. Doesn't matter whether it's Gladys, whether it's Jim down the road, you know what I mean? Someone's going to fucking listen to it. Now, have you been an introvert? Were you just straight extroverted from a kid? Has there been any change, or have you just been straight shooting from where you are to where you are now? You kind of developed as you've gone on.
You know what I mean? The best way to describe how I really am in person, it's like at first in a big group, in a big room, I'm going to be a little shy. Okay. But as soon as I get to know people in the room, then I'm the loudest person in the room. So it really depends. Like not at first, I'm going to come off like, I don't like to just like be in your face. Like, you know what I mean? If you walked into my house, Mike, he start yelling at you. My mom, my brother, who's here with me now, they do that. They're just going to start saying a million things. They're going to ask you a million questions. So I've always been like kind of the character in my family that has kind of been quiet, but it's always like that secret, like hidden dragon type thing where like, once you get there, then it's like, oh shit, this guy's a huge fucking personality. He just doesn't shove it down my face. And that's kind of how I like operate when I'm like also like talking to girls or trying to get women in a way.
Yeah.
It's just like, I'm not going to be the person that walks up to you like, yo, ma, like, what's up? What's cracking? I'm going to like, let you approach me, or I'm going to like be looking cool. I'm not even going to be probably paying attention to you, to be honest. But then as soon as you start talking to me in a one-on-one situation, I feel like I'm going to handle my business.
Yeah. You're going to go back to you. I remember I dated a girl back in the day, and she was half Mexican. She lived down in Texas, the bottom of Texas, right? So the half the family is like full Mexican, and you go in there and it's the loudest thing you've ever fucking heard in your entire life.
Yes.
I'm from Australia, and I come from a quiet town, like, a quiet little background. My mum would be like, shh, inside voices, come on, Sam, you'll be all right. And so I go to this Mexican household, and you get the grandmothers like screaming at me that the tortillas are burning or some shit. And I'm like, yo, what the fuck is this? Your whole like your childhood kind of like raises a little bit of you. I will give them that. But as you go on, as you said, you kind of develop that when you get comfortable and stuff like that. It's interesting. Has your social media hindered your dating life? Because that's what I'm finding. My social media is hindering my dating life now massively.
Dude, I'm not even kidding you. Like, dude, like that's the biggest problem I'm having in my life right now. Honestly, by far, it's like no girl wants to trust me. They don't trust me. You know what I mean? They're going to see the content. They see a perspective, and they see a perception of this guy who's just out here doing all this shit, like fucking girls, blah, blah, blah. I'm not even really like that. Really, genuinely, swear to God. I haven't had sex in 5 or 6 weeks. I'm fucking crying over here. I'm sad, but
dried up over here.
Like I'm struggling. Yeah.
Have you seen that video where it's like, everyone expects you get hella bitches and you're fucking like crying in the corner or some shit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, right. It's so true. And it's like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like there's plenty of girl attention, right? Like I'm getting DMs all the time. I'm pretty selective with about who I want to spend my time with and like who I kind of want to share that with. I'm not just going to fuck whatever. I'm not that kind of guy. I've never been that kind of guy. So that's the thing. It's not like, I mean, trust me, I know dudes with a good following that are doing that though. Like there's one guy I pretty much work with and this dude's like in the triple digits and he's doing it all the time. Like every weekend. I'm just like, damn, like, I don't know. I can't maintain that. I don't really necessarily have that drive to only just sleep with people, especially people I don't really like care about or are super attracted to. Like, I love finding people that I can like get deep with and have good conversation with and have bomb sex with. I don't want to just have this like, oh, come over. Oh, okay. You're just a like piece of meat.
Yeah,
like,
just like you want
it is what it is. Like
as your value increased, you wanted that better, not better valued, but like more quality around you as you started to increase your social status per se.
Yes. Well, so that's what it is too, you know, in a weird way. I feel like I've always felt this way. I've always wanted the quality girl. So I never settled really, even when I was like, I guess a nobody, right? Like I never settled for anything less than I really wanted. Like if she wasn't like really beautiful to me, if she wasn't like super dope to me, I really wasn't doing it. I wasn't just like doing like or having sex with girls or just being with girls just because. Like I never got influenced by that crowd of like, oh, we need quantity or like, yo, you need bitches in order to be dope as a dude. I was like, that to me is honestly pretty fucking lame, really. And I was just like, all right, I just want to be with like quality girls. I want all the strikes on my record to be fire. You know what I mean? I want to be like, look back and be like, I mean, listen, don't get me wrong. I got some suspect characters on that list. Like no doubt in my mind, of course, but to the best I can, you know what I mean? It is what it is.
I think that's everyone. Everyone's got a few suspects. Come on. Every guy and girl, doesn't matter who you are.
No.
It's somewhere you're like, oh, fuck, I really did that?
Exactly.
Is that person okay that was dealing with that? No, I can imagine. Yeah, look back. Sometimes you just want to erase those memories. I've tried to like rewrite over them, you know, just like either be a name or something, or you know, I'm like, oh, I got to get that name out of there.
Wait, I got a question. Do you have like a list of everybody you slept with?
So back in that was one thing. So back in the PUA community, the pickup community, that was a big thing. You wrote down everyone, and so back in the day I did, and then I lost it. And I was like, oh man, like I can't think of it. But then I met someone who was a little on the spectrum, you know, and he had a mathematical breakdown of every single person, location, age, where he met them, like, and it was full on. Then on the second spreadsheet was all the graphs, and I'm like, like. You know, I you know, this place was the best for me. So say like you're in Scottsdale or something like that, one of the bars there in Australia was like Ivy or something. And I was like, oh my Lord, that's way too much. He was doing like the quantity fucking figures and shit. I'm like, I'm never going to ever write down a list. Do you have a list?
No, I don't. I honestly, I think I can go back and probably see, but there's definitely certain people where I was like, dude, I don't even remember that time in my life. You know what I mean? Like that was a blur to me. Some people like have like DM'd me like, oh, you remember when? I was like, shit.
Really?
I was like, maybe. I think so. I don't know.
Like, I sucked you 5 times. You're like, no.
Oh my, that list would be kind of wild because there was a period of time in college where like for some reason that's all I wanted to do. And I would just like hang out with girls and they would just like come over. And I don't know what that was. There's like, I'm telling you, like, I think it was like my freshman or my sophomore year. And I was just like only getting my dick sucked and be like, all right, I got to go and like leave. And I just like wouldn't have sex with these girls for like a minute. So I don't know.
Just
I've upgraded since then.
It's a phase, mom.
Yeah, exactly. Now, you know, what's crazy too? Like people don't really talk about like, I mean, I don't really know how it is, but I feel like over time, you really get so much better as a man. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing. It's like, dude, when I was like 20, I was trash. Like my dick was probably terrible realistically, but like now I feel like way different. Like now I'm like, shit, there's like things I'll be doing I've never even thought I'd be doing like when I was like, you know, 21. Yeah. People like we forget about that. I'm like, dude, that's why some of these like younger girls like these older guys, because you experience that and you're just like, what the fuck? I can't go back to 20.
Yeah,
That
because
shit's
they're like,
tough.
oh, do you want to come in my car, the back seat? And you're like, guys are
Yeah.
like, wait, what? All the dudes
It's
are
too
like taking
much.
fucking restaurants, three stories in an apartment or some shit. I understand, like, good on them. Fuck, how amazing, you know what I mean? If you go to that, but even with the older girls too, I find it. Even when you're a young kid, you experience that, and you're like, oh damn, they know some shit.
Yes, yes.
They know some
No, I know.
shit.
There's okay. So this like MILF picked me up at the gym one time, and this girl legitimately like did all the work. Like I didn't really, I really wasn't about it, but this like 34, like 40-year-old woman like was in my gym one time. Only time I've ever seen this girl in there, which is completely weird. Never, like, I'm telling you, only time I've ever seen her in there. We like locked eyes for a second, and she just like stopped and just like looked at me. And I was like, oh, like what? And she just like came up to me, started talking. And she's like, "Oh, you're like pretty cute." She like gives me like a little finger on like my arm. I was like, "Oh shit!" I was like, "Where the
She's
fuck is this
hunting,
going?"
hunting.
Yeah. No, she was going hard. She knew what she was doing. She was like, "All right, like, hey, like, yo, honestly, like, do you want me to go to a bar later?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, let's do it." Literally meet up with her. I'm not even kidding. This girl just like 2 minutes orders wings. She's like rubbing the inside of my leg. Like she was just like, "Do you want to just like go back to my place?" I was like, "Holy shit!" Like she's doing everything. I was like, "All right, fuck it,
Yeah.
let's do it."
She's like,
And
fuck the
yeah,
wings, leave them.
yeah.
Oh man.
We fucking left and go back to her place. And I was like, she like oiled me up. She like gave me a massage. I was like, what? Like, what the fuck is happening? I literally just met this girl like not even 3 hours ago, and we're just doing all this crazy ass shit. But yeah, that was the only time I've ever been with her, actually. But yeah, she was pretty fire. I was like, whoa, this is good.
I mean, that's why, even on Call Her Daddy, they have the MILF Hunter, he must know some secrets we don't know.
I don't know. See, this thing, if a woman wants what she wants, like, I think she can pretty much get it. That's the difference between men and women, right? It's like women, like, like sometimes they like ask me for advice of like picking guys up at the gym or like, just like picking up guys in general. I'm like, you realize, all you really need to do is say like, hi. You know what I mean? Like, all you really need to do is just go up to him and start talking to him. I feel like for a woman, it's like you really get to pick. It's not the men that are picking. I feel like it's the women that are picking, honestly.
Like, I don't know about you, but guys don't get as many sort of either compliments or any sort of like, truly engagement of that feminine essence. So when they do, hopefully they're striking it. Hopefully they're taking it and being able to be like, read the signals and stuff like that. That's what we teach. Most guys are completely self-aware though. Like completely unself-aware, like no idea. So the girl be like, oh yeah, like something like that. In your case, you've developed that self-awareness where she's like, oh, do you want to get out of here or do you want to go to a bar? You're like, oh yeah, okay, I can see where this is going. That future, like I can see. Where some guys are just like, huh? Oh, why would I want to go to the bar with you? Or like, just fuck it up, and you're like,
I know, what? Right? Like completely oblivious. I mean, that one, she made it easy. She was pretty much just said, here's my ass on a platter. Like, please eat it. You know what I mean? Like that one's chill. It's the ones, it's the girls that are like, kind of just like a little bit looking at you. And then you kind of tell that they were staring at you and you're like, damn, like, okay. Then also it's like, all right, why did you just have a conversation with me? That's the hard part too. Cause I think a lot of the times, like, I don't know. I had this whole segment on my podcast about this. I was like, dude, if like a girl is talking to you, like, it's almost like I'm just like, she probably likes you. I was like, girls don't talk to people they don't like.
Yeah,
it's crazy. I don't want to go out here and say that, right? Because girls gonna be like, yo, every guy's creepy. I just want to be their friend. But like, I'm gonna be honest. Like, if she's talking to you for extended periods of time, I'm like, dude, you got a chance.
Yeah,
really,
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
That attention is so valuable nowadays. Look how much value there is on just TikTok and trying to get that freaking value. So if she's spending 20 minutes with you, and she signals,
that's what I'm saying.
And that's what I tell people. It's just like screen hard, which is like, find out if they're single. And then if they're spending time and they're investing, well, boom, let's see what's up. What's up? You know what I mean?
So when you do coaching, do you mostly do men or women?
So I have done women because it was like social dynamics. So that would be like communication styles, nonverbal communication, nonverbal kind of like your body language and all kind of things. But specifically over the years, because I've been doing this since 2012, it's just been guys mainly. So I started where I was shit. I was terrible. I remember, like, I'm talking about, bro. Like, I remember one time there's this one girl. I even looked at her Instagram last night. I'm not even shitting you. She's kind of famous now.
Oh no.
And I was like 18, right? And, I just lost my virginity at 18. I was so excited. And I remember I texted this girl. It was like Facebook, when Facebook was popping. I was like, hey, like I saw it's your birthday. We're gonna go to Shore Club, if anyone remembers that, in Manly. And I was just like, yo, we should link up. It's your birthday. I know the bartender, which is, going back to, I didn't know any bartender. And I was like, I'll buy your friends like rounds and stuff like that. She's like, cool. So I see her at the club. I'm like, oh, this is how you get girls. You kind of have to like swoon them and kind of like this. Again, I grew up in a family, split family. Mom had boyfriends and I never really, so I got to see the female side and I was like, oh, that's kind of like what it goes. And then it was just like, I remember the tab at the end of the night was like $1,600 for this girl. And I was like,
oh,
okay, sweet. All right. Yeah. So I did that. And then I was like, okay, well, at least I'm her friend. She added me back on Facebook. That's it. She didn't even add me on Facebook.
It's the little things.
And then I'm like, okay. And then she hits me up the next weekend, and another $800 later, I'm like, well, at least I'm making progress. And I'm like, man, this is how bad it was. That was so bad. And then, like, I heard that like her friends caught on, and then they started messaging. Like, so I was just like spending money, you know what I mean? As a kid.
You're like the promoter now.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, oh, that's how to do it. And then it's just like, it was so bad because I was like, at least I bought her friendship. And then, I had no idea. So when I first got into it, I first started learning. Yeah, that was the big stage. It was just like, yo, there's this whole different reality. There's this whole mindsets that you have to learn, because you're not taught. Like, men and women nowadays are not taught, and it's not as socially acceptable online to be taught these things, because you'll hear words like, manipulation, this and that. We're basically just trying to learn social skills. That's really what you're trying to do. And so it's like, how do you, when you hear, as you said, you probably experienced this, like, yo, that guy's a creep, or like, that girl rejected me and stuff like that. And it's like, people are just trying to practice. We have no social interactions anymore as a kid. So how the fuck are we supposed to practice? And now you're just practicing in the field, like practicing in the bar. And so you're going to get that creep. You're going to get that girl that rejects you and this and that. But, back in our days, it was like, we got rejected, like from playing like handball, in the garden and stuff like that. So you learn that rejection. You're like, oh, you don't get everything you want. You know what I mean? These people like crying, like, oh, I got rejected. I'm like, you got to experience that.
Part of the game. It's part of the game. I always tell people, like, I think the biggest, like one of the biggest skills in dating is being able to like rub off rejection, like being able to just like move away from shitty energy or shitty people, or like when it's like cutting your losses. Like when someone's not giving you what you want, like it's just time to pivot and go. You know what I mean? Because that's the thing. There's a million other fucking people that are going to give you this opportunity or give you this chance. Like if someone's really fucking around with you, they're making you anxious. They're making you feel like shit. They're not giving you what you want. Like you said, it feels like you're doing all the work. I'm like, dude, it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. There are people out there that are going to be 50-50 with you at the minimum. You know what I mean? And there's so many people that are just like, giving to these people. I'm like, it just doesn't make sense to me. Like the hard, again, it's the hard thing to do, right? Because you like you said with that girl, right?
Yeah.
You want to just like try really hard. So you're like, you're going to give them a lot of shit. But after a while, you got to like turn around and say to yourself, you're like, okay, I've tried really fucking hard and they still are not giving me shit. Like, obviously they just don't care. They just don't really care that much. Whatever it is, whatever perception they have about you is real, and it's not going to change. And the only way it's going to change actually is if you go off, you do your own fucking thing, and they see it from a far distance and say, holy shit, like, what the fuck did I do? I let that go. But you got to let people process shit too, right? You need to give them that space to say, okay, wait a minute, I am missing this. But if you're giving this, like, someone all this shit, like you were paying for her every weekend, she'd be just taking it every weekend. She ain't gonna stop, right?
That's awesome.
Exactly. And then honestly, the only way to get that girl would be, I'm gonna stop paying for you. I'm gonna start getting some other girls in here, and we're gonna see what's good. And then next thing you know, that girl's gonna be coming back to you like, oh, I'm so sorry.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. So like in a situation, I always like to break it down, because I'm like, okay, in a situation that what I've known, because that was back when I was like 18. I'm freaking turning 28 now. So I'm like, okay, well, if I look back at a situation, I'm sure you had situations where you look back, you're like, okay, well, what could I have done with the knowledge that I have now? You know what I mean? Do you have a situation where you look back, hypothetically, a situation, you're like, okay, well, if I did this, this, and this, that could have worked. You know what I mean? I kind of like fucked myself in my chances by acting like this, So
see, what's hard for me about doing that is I don't really like doing that. And the reason that I don't is just because, like, you're acting off emotion in this situation. I think the best thing you could do in any type of dating situation, which is fucking hard and stupid, but, or not stupid, but just like hard is like, you gotta have to like, resist your emotions a little bit and date smart. That's what I always tell people. You got to date smart. You got to date with your brain and sometimes like half with your heart. You know what I mean? Your heart's kind of dumb. It's going to make you want to do a bunch of shit, like text them 17 times when you know that like that attention they don't deserve. You know what I mean? They don't deserve that shit. So I think that's the hard part about it, is just like that fight between your heart and your brain, constantly when it's in dating, right? Oh, should I text him this long paragraph or should I shut my fucking mouth and keep it going?
Yeah.
But the reason I don't like to like go back and like say to myself, like, oh man, like you failed at this situation, is just because human relationships are so complex. Like, what you may have done in that situation didn't work for this girl, but guess what? You doing that for another girl may have sparked her interest when she didn't have any, right? And I think that's the really hard part about dating. Yes, there's certain things that I think like, in terms of like giving somebody attention, there are some rules of the road. No doubt in my mind. Like you can't just be going crazy on some girls. But yeah, like in terms of a specific situation, why don't you just take my current one? All right. So I've been trying to like talk to this new girl, right? Mm-hmm. She came over and I've seen her, I think in person 3 or 4 times. Mm-hmm. She came over, first time. This is going to sound so fucked. Honestly, I shouldn't even. Okay. So she applied to be my intern, my personal assistant.
Okay.
And she like essentially like she met with me and I was like, okay, like this is what the job is, like whatever, like, all right, let's see how you do. We'll see how you mix in. Next time I see her, she brings over like In-N-Out really late at night, like a little hamburger or whatever. And she brings it over and I'm just like, she's like hanging out with me, my friend. I looked at her and I was like, listen, I was like, you can't be my intern. Like you need to be my friend because I fuck with you. Like I like you. Yep. And I just like hung out with her the next time. We were like chilling. We were having such a good day. I tried to kiss her and she stops me. She stops me from kissing her. And I was like, oh, what the fuck? She's like, oh, are you embarrassed? I'm like, no. I was like, I could tell this girl likes me a lot. Yeah. And she's just like resisting really bad. So it turns out she's like a pastor's daughter. So she's very traditional compared to me. Right. So I think she's trying to like, it's this struggle between like, dad is like this godly figure. And then I have this guy, Chris, who's like a complete polar opposite of like my views and my values. And this would come back to our conversation about the dating with the online persona. These girls are frightened. I like scared. They have to be scared that I'm bullshitting them. You know what I mean? I'm telling like, I'm looking this girl in her face. I'm like, I like you. I want, she's like, oh, I need emotional stability. I need all this shit.
They can't process it. They're like, what? Yeah. No, that doesn't make sense. Yeah. I get you.
Exactly. So, long story short though, like she just keeps like denying me. And then eventually we hit a point where like, I don't know, she comes over again, we end that day. She goes home, I give her a hug. She comes over again. We go do a bunch of stuff, go to the mall, come home. I make her dinner. Same thing, get into a really deep conversation about me liking her essentially, I guess, not believing me, but also she's not showing me any of her cards at all. So I'm at this point now with her where like, I'm texting her and I'm like, I don't really know what to do. Like, I'm just sitting here just like, do I fucking try and make it seem like I want her? But the only problem is if I try, it looks like I'm simping so fucking hard and that's super unattractive too. So it feels like I'm in a rock and a hard place between like, do I try really hard and text her and like, make it seem like I'm really, really fucking into her, even though I've only met her 4 times, or do I like ignore the shit out of her and do the classic old, like, if I just ignore her, eventually she'll come back around and because you know how that goes. Women want what they can't have. Everybody wants what they can't have. So like right now I'm at that juncture with her. She just texted me after like 12 hours of not answering me. I was like, fuck it. I'm not going to answer this girl for 48 hours. Like I just made the decision in my head. I'm like, is that dating smart? I don't really know. I think that's the smart thing to do, but that's what I'm saying is like other people might text right away and just think, all right, that's not a big deal. Yeah. Like, so I don't know what your take is on that, but that's where I'm at right now.
That's so funny. It's interesting. I've been reading the Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene. And they talk about
very cool
the polarity of like, the pastor's daughter and the kind of the bad boy or the person that they're not supposed to like traditionally. But it's that idea of like the light versus the dark, the 2 shadows kind of thing, the yin and yang. And what excites her about like, it's so weird. They were doing a comparison, like where sometimes, and girls can tell me if it's wrong or not, where they compare the guy that they're looking at dating with their father and they compare that and sometimes it's so close, like they're looking for the father figure if the father didn't give or they're looking at the complete opposite because they're not repulsed, but like they grew up with the dad and they want something different. You know what I mean? So that's where they'll get that. So they like the drama, they like the feelings that you're already giving them. It's so fascinating when you get in. Same as like mummy issues. Don't get me wrong. Same shit.
Oh, you know, absolutely.
Like, what's the classic example? It's like, they always talk about you'll end up with someone that's similar to your mom, kind of thing, because as a child, you're.
And I honestly, and listen, I think that's kind of true. So I grew up with I don't want to say I guess a single mom in a way. Like my parents got divorced when I was a kid, so I was like you, where I was like I grew up with just my mom. I mean, I think that's what you said. I grew up with just my mom for majority of my life, and she's been single like for majority of my life. So I was in a household with a very, and my mom, she makes bread. She does the business. She's like really hardcore. She's up in her company, huge. But I'm in a household with a really, really strong mom, and like someone that's just like a really big, like go-getter, ambitious, whatever. And like, that's what I want in a woman too, right? Like I'm looking kind of towards that, right? I'm like, okay, I don't want some girl that's just going to sit here and take from me. I don't want no trophy wife. I don't need that. I want a girl that's going to be next to me and grinding. Like, that's what I really want. And it's probably because, like you're saying, you know, I'm seeing my mom do that, and I'm not bringing some girl that's just going to look hot in front of my mom. Although the only girl that broke my heart my whole life is the only girl that I thought was an absolute fucking 10 out of 10. So that's it. That's where I'm at. So I don't know what's happening over here, to be honest.
How, after that breakup that you talk about, did you transform? Like, what ways did you transform? Like, what ways did you get better? Did you get worse? Like, you know?
So the only girl I ever really feel like I really got destroyed by, was this bottle girl. So it was a girl I was working at a club. Super. I'm telling you, like, if you looked her up, you'd be like, I understand. Yeah. You know what I mean? She's just like, she's dry. I show her to people, and I'm like, they're like, man, this is going to be really hard to match. And I'm like, yeah, I've been going through that for the last 4 years. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, fuck, that sucks.
That happened with like fucking Pete Davidson, when they're like, I'm really upset for you, bro, but that Ariana Grande song is so fire, bro.
Yeah, that's hard. I mean, look at him now, though. He's doing good.
Yeah, he's doing fine for himself. Yeah,
right. So but that's what I'm kind of hoping. I kind of have my moment, you know. Maybe I'll find my Kim K one day. But so it's just crazy. I feel like after that, this is what actually really happened. So when I was dating that girl at the time, I didn't really have any clout at all, or any just like following. I just was, again, I was coming out of my master's program. I was coming into this really good job. I was pretty much just waiting for that job to happen. None of this stuff happened with the TikTok or the podcast. And we really just, I hit a point. So I was telling her what my dreams were. Me and her were discussing like posting on YouTube, starting a vlog, like doing all the stuff that we were talking about, like right now. That's kind of happened for me 3 years later. But I wasn't that guy yet. She ends up going to, and this is like after like 3 months of talking, and this is what like the breaking point of our relationship was. She ends up going to, you know, Dan Bilzerian? Yeah. Chance? She goes to his Halloween party. And I was like, at this point, I'm like, I have a talk with her. I'm like, listen, like, if you go to this, like, you're just pretty much telling me to my face, like, you just don't give a fuck, like, really. And she was just like, fuck it, I'm going. And goes, ends up meeting this like millionaire dude's got all this clout, all this money. Next thing you know, like a couple weeks later, we have sex. I leave her house. I make a joke. I'm like, yo, you're in my parking spot. She gets mad at me. We don't answer each other. We never texted each other ever again after that. Literally no closure, no nothing. I just felt the energy was off. We just never texted each other after that. Next thing you know, she's on a plane to Bali. She's going to Japan. She's doing all this shit. And I'm just like sitting there. I mean, this is really hard for me. I'm like 24, 25 at the time. No real money, no clout. I'm just like, damn, like, I really just like, life is hard. Like, I just realized like I'm in the real world now. Like so you know, it's funny, after school, like after like being in college or university, as I think you guys say it over there. Like, you know, when you're a senior at the end of your college semester, like shit's dope. Like, you know, all the things that are going on, you got all the chicks on campus, you get all the freshman girls, and you graduate and you become a freshman to real life. You become a freshman to real life.
That.
You got no money. You're thrown into it. And now you're instead of versing kids that are your age, you're competing with guys that are 35. You're competing with guys that are 30. And I think that was the realization that I had at that age. It was like, okay, you know what? Fuck the girl thing for now. Let me just grind. Let me just take care of my business. As a man, I know that in order for me to be desirable, I need to take care of my responsibilities. If I get my finances in check, if I get my health in check, I get my body in check, everything's going to fall into place for me. So I think that like breakup fueled a lot of this shit. I always said after I hit the 1 million followers, I was sitting on my balcony, I'm smoking a blunt out there and I'm by myself. And like, I said this on my podcast, but I was like, I was sitting there and I was just thinking, I'm like, wow, this is like crazy. Right. You know what I mean? I'm like sitting there like to myself, like, whoa, I just did a whole bunch of shit really pretty quickly. And I was like words that just came to mind. I was like, fuck that bitch. I was like, fuck that bitch. I just kept saying that in my head. I was like, I was just like a lot of emotions in terms of like that girl, like how that moment, that one breakup, that one, she just looked past me, fueled like 2-3 years of me just going absolutely just like crazy on my shit. And I'd say the biggest thing I guess I learned from that was like, these people that overlook you, whoever breaks up with you, whatever, the only way to really get real revenge and make them pay is by proving it to yourself that you are who you say you are. Right. And you need to really just like put the time and the work in, and eventually time will, help or heal those wounds. Like I feel a lot better now. I really don't care about her. I swear to God, it'd be really interesting to have a conversation with her at this juncture. I really don't know what the conversation would be like, but you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I just like, I don't know. I feel like, I don't even know. There's just like a lot of emotions in that moment, but you just learn that you kind of have to, again, just like bet on yourself really. And I think that's the biggest thing I learned from like that kind of breakup and that big heartbreak was let it fuel you. Yeah. And it just is what it is. Time is going to heal that, that wound. It's going to suck. Took me like a year or two to really get past it. And I think the other thing too that has come from it though, is the way that I have viewed girls though. And I think that has changed a lot in terms of like, now I'm like, okay, if I get all my shit together, I know what's going to come to me. Like that's what it is. And now I'm realizing, I'm watching it happen, unfold. It's like, I am getting all of these opportunities. You know what I mean? I'm getting all of these opportunities because I took the time away from just like focusing on them and literally just put it on myself and said, fuck it. I'm just going to work out. I'm going to work on my job. And, listen, with a lot of money and a good body and all this stuff, people are going to come and they're going to come fast. So that's where I went. I don't know.
I love that because it's like you turned inwards and said, like, if I increase my social status in the community, in the hierarchy that we live in, the one thing that comes from it is, the abundance that I'm looking for.
Yes.
That's abundance of women, whether there's abundance of opportunity, whether that's abundance of just different things that are coming into your life, different, avenues and stuff like that. That's crazy because I have a theory. And I'll explain it to you, where if I was in a relationship and I talked about one similar aspect to yours was that you had all these dreams and stuff like that. And my ex used to be like a little bit older than me, a lot older, 7 years older, when I was like, 22. Yeah, she was 29, 30. And she was like, I wish you would grow up faster. I wish you would hurry up. I wish you would mature faster. And I was a 22-year-old kid. And that's hard because like you're trying to, because you want to,
exactly
ease the girl and stuff like that. And she's like, it's things like, it's going to be wrecked because you're not maturing fast enough. I need you on this level. And I would try, don't get me wrong. It's kind of like the what you were saying about the YouTube and stuff like that. The catalyst to actually make me that person was the breakup, right? So the thing that she wanted, or the thing that I wanted too, which was to mature, it had to have happened. Like the breakup had to have happened to become that person. Because I remember being and the girl said to me, "It's like you're exactly the person that I wanted," which is hard to hear. You're exactly the person now that 4 years ago. And that's like, you're like, damn,
that's hard to hear for her.
Yeah, 100%. And but it's like, it's interesting because it's like, okay, well, did I force, so I look back again, I'm very introspective. Maybe there's something wrong with me, I look back, I'm like,
no, it's good. You should.
Did my subtle communication force this, knowing that it would accelerate me towards my goals? They talk about law of attraction and stuff like that. And one thing with law of attraction I talk about is that yo, some bad fucking shit might happen before you get to your goal. You know what I mean? I remember when I was working for like my mentor, he wanted to accelerate his company, but he had an international scandal. He had family troubles. His girlfriend dumped him and cheated on him. All of these things, but he ended up getting his goal too. His company accelerated, but he had all this fucking shit out here. But it was interesting. Like the world knew that you're not ready to get there until you have that fucking motivation, that fire you talked about to get yourself there. Because I'm sure sometimes when you're posting, you're like, yo, you know, when you started to grow, and you're like, you know, you had to have that fire, that motivation.
It's crazy because, you know, a lot of these times where I feel like I'm down and then I'm up when it comes to the posting, a lot of it is, you know, based on the things that are happening in my personal life, right? Like, you know, what happens is like, maybe I like a girl and then like shit doesn't work out. And then like I tumble for like a couple of weeks because I'm like, you know, you get that feeling whenever somebody denies you or you get rejected, it sucks. Like, you know, you lose your confidence. And as much as you try to just say like, I don't care about it, or I'm powering through it, it's like those thoughts come in your mind and it's almost impossible to really like get them out. So it takes me sometimes a little bit to kind of like get through that. But once I get past that hump of like, all right, I'm over that. It then kicks me in the ass and fuels me to have those good weeks where I'm like, fuck that girl. I'm going to go out and I'm going to TikTok now because fuck her. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Of course.
I guess I'm just like using all these like breakups to like get me to where I want to go. That sounds insane. Yeah.
I love that because that's fun. That's funny. You know, girls the same thing. You know what I mean? They have a fling. The dude doesn't. You know, something happens, or the guy and the girl, and it does fire. It's the best motivator, bro, isn't it? In the gym or anything like that. They talk about like I had a podcast that came out today with a guy that was talking about evolutionary psychology, and one of the things is that like there's a male instinct in us where we see, like, say our girl getting fucked by another dude, that cockholdingness that they talk about actually like increases the fucking like cortisol, the testosterone, this, that, because of like ownership and courtship and stuff like that. And he was like, yeah, I'm in the gym and I'm thinking about that to get those next 3 reps out. I'm like, what? And I'm like, okay.
Thinking about my girl getting fucked right now.
Yeah, I'm like, let me try this. I shit you not.
Yo.
I shit you not. You're like, yeah, let me put fucking like, you know, for pounds, let me put 400 on the fucking squat rack. Yeah, I can do this. Yeah. Or you just crumble down like crying and you're like, ah.
Yeah, for real. That's a lot of emotions. I don't see. That's the thing is I've never got into like the whole cucking thing. I don't understand. I really don't get it. Like,
oh no,
that's what I'm saying. Like I'm not gonna let somebody like fuck my girl. I just don't know. Maybe it's just not me. I'm not that kind of person. But I had a
scenario. I had a scenario last week or 2 weeks ago, and it was weird. It was weird. I was like, okay, Jesus. So there was this girl. We're at a festival, right? Like the girl made out with her, and then I knew the other guy that was with the group, and I was like, oh, okay, they're cool and stuff like that. And I started going, and then we get to the clubs, and where the clubs, I have all the value because I know the promoters, I know the owners, I know every manager, and I can get us in for free.
Huge.
So I'm like, sweet, I've got the value here. The girl should pretty much, you know, not that it'll happen for sure, but you know, slowly I can get the free drinks and this and that because I've set up my lifestyle. And I was like, you know what, this is sweet, and it was cool. Number one, she didn't give a fuck at all. I was like, oh, I'm like, okay, this is interesting. And so then now the group's like gone down to just me and this other dude. So I'm like, oh, okay, we're in this like little alpha fight. You know what I mean? She's getting a bit of attention from him. She's getting a bit of attention from me and this and that. I was like, sweet, that's cool. You know what I mean? I don't care whoever wins, you know, good on the dude. The dude's a nice guy. You know what I mean? Anyway, so I was like, game on, motherfucker. I'm still wanting to get, you know, I'm not going to back down from a fight. You know what I mean? So then we're going, and then, you know, then she starts buying him drinks and I'm buying her drinks. I'm like, hang on.
Oh no, like, that's not a good combo.
Like, that's not a good sign. Anyways, I was like, all right, let's bounce to a club. Let's bounce to another club where I have so much value. I'm up in the DJ booth. I'm up in the booths with them. I bring them. I'm like, I'm showing so much. And this is probably where I fucked up, right? So then the guy's always pulling me in to dance as a group. And I'm like, hang on. I'm like, but then the girl would. Anyway, so then then I get this thing. This guy comes up to me. He's like, yo, you got to bounce from this club. Like the owner. I was like, oh, like, what do you mean? He's like, yo, there's about to be a fight. Yeah, get the fuck out of this club right now. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, no worries. And there was, yeah, and it was good. Like a couple of minutes later, it was a massive fight. Yeah, he just knew it, and you can read the room really well. So then we go to this other club, and they're like, yeah, blah blah blah. They're talking. It's like, oh yeah, you know, we might be pregnant. I said, what?
Wait, these two, are they dating?
I can't figure it out at this point because I'm still getting pulled in to dance with them, and like the girls,
Yeah,
girls grinding on me. I've already made out with her, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is like, you know.
everyone's
Anyways,
just
yeah, oh
having
yeah,
fun.
yeah, we're expecting like, and I'm like, yo, like, what the fuck, what? Anyway, so I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm like, brush that off. I brush that off. That's the weirdest
All
stuff.
right, weird, but I'm gonna keep it going.
Anyway, so we go in the club, and then I'm getting like brought into like, and the guy, the girl, and I'm being brought in the back, and I'm like, oh, okay, it's some Eiffel Tower situation. We're about to, high five each other, yeah, bro. And it wasn't like that. I just got this weird chill down my spine that it was like
Oh
it was going to be
no.
me fucking the girl and having him like masturbate in the corner. I was just
Watch.
like, I just had that flash, and I was just like, no, I got to get the fuck out of here. This is too fucking weird. I was like, I
See,
gotta be fucked. It's fucking crazy, bro.
it's too much. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't see, that's the thing too. I always thought about it, like, because like you're even, I was talking from the perspective of like being the guy that's jerking off in the corner. Like, I'm never gonna be the guy that's jerking off in the corner and watch my girl get fucked.
Yeah.
But I'm like, fuck, like, will I even be the guy to do the fucking while the guy jerks off? Like, I just don't know. I just don't know. Maybe if the correct situation presented itself, maybe, but I haven't got there.
No, it's just like, you could like, imagine like you and your girl, and then you've got like a lesbian or something like that, and you're like, what could happen?
What's going on?
Yeah.
See, that's what I don't understand. I feel like, that's what I was talking about before about like being in college, and now it's like, as you get older, your sex starts to evolve because, you just start meeting some people, they just start introducing you to new things. Next thing you know, it's like, as you get older, like I'm just like, there's just so much more shit that I would do now than like when I was like 20, like I'm spitting in girls' mouths. Like, you know what I mean? I'm throwing my finger in their ass. I'm like, this shit I was like never doing when I was like with, when I was like 20, whatever. Yeah. I was like, I hope there doesn't become a point where I'm like 35, 40, where I'm just like fucking dudes. And like, you know what I mean? Like I need to like be fucking doing crazy ass shit to get off. Like, I'm like, when does it stop? Like, is there a chill period?
Yo, you're throwing the fucking, the audio asphyxiation. You're throwing the noose around the fucking neck to jerk off.
I'm like, yeah, I just, okay.
Where's
fucking
the level?
Weird as shit.
It's like every girl like shows you a different kink. You know what I mean? You're like,
exactly.
You're like, I kind of like that one. Fuck, it'd be like rope play or this or that, or you're just like, what?
It's wild. All right, so okay, the one guy I talked to, I was mentioned before. So he's like a sex addict. I don't know what's wrong with him. He's out of control. But he's like trying to convince me. He's like, bro, he's like, yo, you ever got a head from a tranny? I was like, no. I was like, that's a dude. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think I would ever do that. And then he's just like, oh yeah, it happened one time like 10 years ago. I was like, oh,
you're like, cool. Wait, what?
Yeah, I was like, wait, what? Like, what's happening right now? And next thing you know, he's like, bro, you know what I've been really into? He's like, dude, tranny porn. He was like, bro, them bitches is like 6 foot. And he's like, yo, they got dicks. And I'm like, what? I'm like, yo, this sounds insane. He's like, tell me that they're like girls that are fucking each other because they have dicks because they previously were dudes. I'm like, how do you get this deep into the sex game where this is the shit that's turning you on? It doesn't make sense to me.
Octopus porn. That's how it gets. How it gets started, bro. Germany and Japan and shit. That's how it fucking starts. And then it's
right. So it's funny. I actually hate porn personally. I don't really. I think I've watched porn once this year. That's it. I feel like this is oh man, I can't be saying shit like this. But Jesus Christ. I just feel like, okay, now with like Instagram and Snapchat and all this shit, it's like I like meet girls online, and it's like now I'm just like almost like virtually like fucking people or like jerking off to like their pictures and all this shit. I'm like, I don't even do porn anymore, like compared to the shit that we have just like online anymore. I don't know what you do.
It's a fucking advanced shit, you know what I mean? Yeah, TikTok is
I can't get off to like the fake bullshit anymore. No, it's like I need to know you're real. I need to know who you are. Now it's like, I don't even know.
It becomes like a reality and shit like that. Yeah, no. Like you try to like NoFap is so hard when you've got a Twitter account.
For sure.
Yeah, that shit does not work. You go on there, you're like, okay, like Chainlink, Bitcoin's doing this, and what the?
Yeah, but you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
All right, I got like 10 minutes. I got some time for this. I gotta chill out, and that's what happens too. So like, as a dude, like whenever I'm feeling like down about a girl, it's hard because like there's the two emotions that go through me. I'm like, yo, I know I need to jerk off right now, but I'm too sad. So like I have to like try to like power through to the jerk off to just like get a nut out to like just clear my sadness.
I need
so
some serotonin.
That's what I did
quick.
the other day. I haven't had like sex in a while. I was like, just like in my feels about some girl. I was like, dude, I just need to go jerk off right now. I was like, I don't know. I'm not feeling up to it. I know I need to turn something on and figure some shit out. So that's the other way I kind of get over shit too. I'm like, all right, just got to get a nut out.
So just a nod, you know what I mean? No, I like
just something.
A lot of the guys will hear it, and a lot of the girls will be like, "Oh my god, it's been weeks for him." But like you're also leveling up your life. You know what I mean? As you said with that, with the job, with work, you've taken the pay cut to now do something which can get you that ultimate status and that ultimate kind of goal that you're after. Same with the girls. You take that time period, you better yourself. You might not be getting as much, but the level that you're going to be getting is astronomical. You're now fucking with the girls that everybody, is. And I told guys, and especially in the industry that I was, it was like your number was most important, like how many. And I'm like, it's not like that. Don't think like that, because it's like, if you want quality, and then I had an argument the other day with some person online about quality, a quality man and a quality woman. Oh, there's no such thing. I'm like, there's definitely quality people, you know what I mean? As you said, like one of the qualities is just like ambitiousness. I want someone, I deem that as quality. You and I both deem quality is completely different, but quality in terms of maybe the synergy between looks and personality, the crazy hot fucking matrix, you know what I mean? Getting a bit of Barney Stinson in there, so like, go on.
It's funny you say that, because like that's the thing you just said, there's no such thing. It's like it's quality to me, right? You know what I mean? Quality to you, whatever that word means, because like there are girls that come in, I guess you're right, it's like a combination between like attractiveness, like personality, like ambition, all this stuff. But I don't think that like that's the thing for me. Like fucking some girl that like to me is like just whatever, or not quality in my eyes. It's like the things that we're doing don't feel as good. There's not a lot of value to me hanging out with you if you're not leveling me up mentally. You know what I mean? Or like if I don't really like you that much, or I'm not that attracted to you, I already know the sex is going to be whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, I want to have bomb sex. I want to have like someone that's going to like, I'm talking to you, and it's not like I'm wasting my time by talking to you. You know what I mean? There's people that you were literally talking to them, and I'm like, you are delivering me zero value. There, and no offense to you, the ambition level you have, or just like the things you've been through in your life, I don't relate to it. I don't need it. Like, I'd rather be around somebody that's doing the things that I'm doing, can like help me take a fucking video. Like, I'd rather be around a girl like that than some girl that's just, and again, take my money, drink with me, or like do the things that I don't really necessarily want to do. So yes, there might not be like, I agree with like that person's not better than another. No, but quality to me is a lot different, right? There's certain people that I are going to find way more valuable than others.
Yeah, and that's totally independent to every single person. You know what I mean? That guy that drink, that girl that drinks and fucks your life up because you got shit on, that's his queen. Fucking go for your life. It made me, by leveling me up, it made me understand so much about girls, because girls might not understand what a guy might go through. We can fuck that girl and not really care, you know what I mean? But we want to spend time. As you level up, I say, as you level up, you want to spend more quality time, because look, your time is important. Look at the shit that you're doing. So again, if how you do one thing is how you do everything. If you're just like off casting on people that you don't care about, you're hanging out with them, you're also not respecting your own time.
Exactly. Such a good fucking point. Such a good
100%. So one of the things is like, I look at that and I'm just like, okay, well, when I leveled my life up, and that's what I teach. So, half of my thing is like, I teach guys how to build a better social circle, network with higher status individuals and stuff like that. But yeah, as I've gone and leveled myself up, now I understand what the hot girl's mentality is like, the high quality girl, and I'm like, oh, now I understand. Again, the people that they have around them are people that also help them,
Yep.
So it's like when you
true.
When you increase your value, you come into their realm, you come into their periphery, and they're like, oh, I want to fuck with this dude. But when you don't offer that, it's like they don't. Yeah, and we're doing the exact same thing. Some of the girls that don't offer us anything, it's just like, I could if I wanted to, but I value my time. I value, it's very, very important, especially the things like what are the things you're doing every day? Like, is your time scheduled, or like, what's kind of things that you've leveled up? You got the gym, obviously. You go once a year.
I'm at the gym. I'm at the gym 5-6 times a week easily. I mean, usually like cooking, eating, cleaning, planning, TikToking. I edit the podcast video. And we do 2 podcasts every week. So, and then I'm also doing this third one. So, you know what I mean? Like between the amount of podcasts I'm doing, plus all the TikToks and the editing for all that stuff, managing the interns, I'm getting a website built right now. So I'm doing like review notes at night with him. It's like, it's what you're saying. It's like my day is literally from the time I wake up to the time I go to sleep. Like, look, I don't watch TikTok. I don't watch Netflix. I don't watch Hulu. I don't, there's not a lot of free time in my day anymore. Other than just like, again, I have to legitimately create time to do those things with people. Right.
Yeah.
And you were talking about like what's like sex with people you don't really care about. It's like, that's the thing. It's like, if I'm just doing it just to get a fucking fuck, it better be quick. Like it better be like, okay, you're coming over, we fuck, and then we leave. That's the thing. But it's never really like that. People want a little bit of a relationship. They want to have the friendship. They want to have the talk before they want to go out to dinner. You know what I mean? It's like, that's the thing. If I only look at you as a fuck, like I want it to just be a transaction, quick, easy, boom, boom. If I'm going to really do that, but people don't really necessarily want to do that. So you got to think every time you're like fucking someone, that could take 6 hours, 7 hours. It's just like a night of drinking, right? Yeah. It's like, people just think it's like, it's 3 hours, but like, no, it's like, okay, now you drank, now you feel like shit. Now the next day you don't really feel like doing stuff. Now you're going to eat like garbage. There's way more to it than meets the eye.
Yeah, it's 48 hours.
With having, it's the same thing when it has like having sex with somebody you don't really care about. There's more than meets the eye. There's the moment, so you guys got to hang out and meet up and talk. Then you got to fuck, and then you're gonna like feel bad, so you're gonna stay with them for a couple hours to not make them feel like shit after. Then you stayed up till like 3 a.m. because you had to do that, and you wake up. That's what I'm saying. There's so many more things to it than just the actual, sex part. Really, it comes down to like the time at the end of the day. I want to be able to use my time wisely. And I think that's exactly what you said. As you're getting older, you realize how valuable those hours are. It's like, I'm not spending it on things that I really don't care about. Yeah. Plain and simple.
I fucking haven't even watched Squid Games. I haven't even watched it.
I'm honestly, so it's so funny you said that. Like I was like, I haven't started. I literally just watched, I just said I don't watch Netflix. I've been trying to watch like half an episode a night for like the last 3-4 nights, and I'm almost on episode 3. It is pretty good, so I'm gonna go there and say that.
You're like, holy shit, schedule like, some time. It's pretty good.
Netflix, JK, I just watched Squid Games last night.
You're like, do what I say, know what I do. No, that's the thing. Like, once. It's so weird because I tell these guys, like, I take them from where they are. And back in the day, it was always like, okay, you got to say this, you got to run this interaction, you got to go out 5 nights a week to go to these girls. And I'm like, now, that would get me a certain type of girl. You know what I mean? And then when you level up, you're kind of like, oh, now, take your bottle service girl. You were that person, don't get me wrong, that she could see the potential, but it's like now, as you said, like you've got the things, even if, everything goes down right now, you still have the ability to know how to rebuild things, how to capture attention, how to fucking monetize and all these kind of things. So you've developed all these skills, and that's all it is. It's skill acquisition. How valuable you are in society is skill acquisition, and people don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it part of a hierarchy. You don't want to hear that guys have to be valuable. And it's like, look, this may be right, but all you have to do is actually now acquire skills and actually buy into the reality of this, and you will get rewarded. This is a good thing. This is not bad that you have to be like valuable to society. It's not a bad thing. Fucking just become valuable to society. Like, people like to say, the status game, because I live in a city that's very status driven, and Scottsdale, Arizona, pretty status driven too.
It's ridiculous. It's everybody knows everyone, and you know exactly what everybody's doing. You know what I mean? It's just, and it's a complete hierarchy. It's exactly what you're saying. It's like, you have, what girls are the hottest in the city. You know exactly what dudes have all the money. Like, it is completely like that. And it's hard. It's hard to like live in that. You know what I mean? Like you said, because I fucking hate that. Right. Like we talked about before at the beginning, how like, I want to be genuine as fuck, but then the hard reality or the harsh reality of life is, a lot of life is very shallow. It is like, as much as we don't want to say it is, it simply is. Like, that's the thing. It's like, at the end of the day, like I was like a smaller dude. I didn't have tattoos. I didn't go to the gym. It's like, I knew in order to be successful on social media, I was going to have to do this. And it wasn't necessarily because like, you do it for yourself, but at the end of the day, it's like, I just wanted to be aesthetic because I knew that that's what's going to get me farther in my career. It's plain and simple. You know what I mean? And that's the hard part. The reality that you're trying to tell them is like, you know, there's just certain truths, you know, the better looking people or the people that are working the hardest, or like you said, have the most skill or the most money, or they're going to be the people that are going to get the attention or going to get the things that they want in their life. So you either just sit there and succumb to the pressure of it all, or you just face it head on. Like you said, acquire skills, work your ass off, and do the things to make yourself more desirable.
100%. And it's like, okay, the genetic lottery. Some people win it, some people don't, but that doesn't mean you can't improve what you have. You can improve what you have. You know what I mean? It like, you know, my mentor is a balding ginger old dude, and he slays. You know what I mean? That's who I learned from.
That's funny.
You know, so it's like, you can't tell me. And he's like just a little taller than me. He always used to say he was super short. I'm like, motherfucker, because I'm only 5'6", bro. So I'm not the tallest motherfucker. 5'6", 5'7".
Hey, listen, I'm so fucking 5'7". I'm just as tall as you.
When you first came up, it was like, you know, you said you weren't big, and what did you do? You learned how to be funny because of your shortcomings.
Yes.
You learn how to relate. So it's like, people always want to say, well, my shortcoming this, I don't have that, I wasn't this. I'm like, that's what makes you. That is the great thing about you. You know what I mean? Yep. I wasn't born with money or this or that. It's just like, that's you. That's great. That's your story. You know what I mean? Now you need to like level that up. And it's funny, as you said, with Scottsdale, it's kind of like, it's balancing the two. It's balancing the you know, the status and all the shallowness with the authenticity. The authenticity you through. But yeah, sometimes you got to dabble in this game because it's kind of, it's fucking everywhere, bro. It's crazy.
Exactly.
You've got to, it's like, until you've seen a girl and you've seen her conversations with Drake, and now you're trying to interact.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh fuck.
Exactly. And it's crazy because, you know, you try not to look at life like in a hierarchy fashion. Like, that's the thing, is that I look at it as very flat for me personally, right? Like, I don't ever look at like the person I interact with at the club, the hottest girl there, and the person that's like the fucking person working the bathroom. Like, I'm going to treat them exactly the same. That's my thing too. Is like, I'm coming from a background where we hated those people, where we hated those image driven people. And see, that's okay. So if you want to get into like a really crazy thing about the social media thing, it's like, my friend group growing up, we despised the kids on social media. We would do everything in our power to destroy the cool kids in a way. Like, that was our whole thing. Like, I'm telling you, we used to like,
what would you do?
So, oh my God, just like mischievous bullshit that like trying to like, you know, people would like post stuff online and then we would like shit on them. So like online bullying, I guess that sounds terrible, but like we used to fill up, a super soaker, which is like a water gun, and we would drive around school, and the kids that were dressed like with the highest fashion, we would shoot them with the water gun with the bleach to ruin their nice clothes. And which is insane because like you get that shit in their eye, they're probably gonna go be blind.
Yeah.
Like, but that's what I'm saying, is like, that's the type of people that I was with and like I was rolling with, because we didn't like that. We always wanted to like be everybody to be on the same level. We didn't like the hierarchy like type view. So the people that were chasing it heavily and were making it their goal, we shit on. So it's really crazy because again, now I'm in this position in my life where it's really hard because I know what it takes to be successful in this kind of hierarchy game that we're in. Right. And it's hard because I look back at my past, and like the kid that I was when I was in high school would probably look at the person I am now and be like, man, you fucking changed, dude.
That water,
you know what I mean? Like,
going like this.
Yeah, exactly. You'd be like, you changed. So it's like
your tank top stage.
Yeah. Like tattoos, bitch.
Yeah. That's so like, fucking fun.
It's crazy because I'm in this like kind of like fight in my mind between like this guy that should just like be the humble dude that sits there and leaves his shirt on, and then the guy that's like taking his shirt off at the fucking needs to take a fucking picture for Instagram. So it's like this clash of like, it's frustrating life. It really is, like trying to like manage all that.
Interesting. I talked about this. I just did a TikTok on about the status driven society that I live in, or the place. Yeah. And it came down to that the self-ethics and self-boundaries were so important, because you can get lost in other people's so quickly. Like you fall into the frame, you know what I mean? And I'm sure you do. I'm sure that's what really keeps you, authentic, is that not only can you see when you feel inauthentic, you can probably see it in the numbers too, which is because it's
for sure.
So you definitely know, which is a good indicator. Amazing. Now you've got an indicator of authenticity. How fucking good. You know what I mean? That's like a
that's I don't want to see, that's the problem though. I don't want to look at the views and think to myself, man, this is like, oh, this is me doing good. Cause that's the other problem. As soon as you start getting tapped into the view numbers, you're fucked. You are fucked because you're letting society or people's views tell you how you need to live your life. And let me tell you something, the majority, the masses, in my opinion, no offense, are fucking stupid. They're fucking stupid. Mm-hmm. So the problem is like, I'm being like funny, my authentic, sarcastic self. And there's these 16-year-old girls or whoever that don't get the jokes or whatever. They get offended. They get all this shit. And then you want to sit there and you're like canceled because you said something that you truly felt deep down, but you have this society that is telling you, no, that shit is wrong, or it's not as cool. So again, it's that balance between, okay, speak your mind, say your opinion and be yourself versus like appease others and relate to others and relate to people that you maybe don't even give a fuck about. No offense. You know what I mean?
100%.
It's fucking hard. It's a hard game.
It's a new balance. Well, maybe back in the days there was that, when you're speaking in front of crowds or something, back in the day, Marcus Aurelius and shit like that, he'd be looking at faces and frowning. Fuck you, Marcus Aurelius. I don't care about meditations. Some shit. But yeah, no, it's definitely an interesting problem that not a lot of people like talk about, number one, because it's like, don't talk about the shit. You know what I mean? You want to talk about truth. It's like, no, we don't want to hear that shit. You know what I mean? But we do want to hear that shit, but we don't want to hear that shit. But it might offend. And it's so crazy because, again, you can't do anything without like offending someone nowadays. You know what I mean? There's jokes. It's like, God. Every single one's going to get triggered and stuff like that. And that's why being authentic to you can back it up with your ethics and your boundaries. And you're like, well,
exactly.
Again, if I get canceled for what I believe in, that's a different story because now I believe in it wholeheartedly. So I'm like, yeah, well, bring it on. You know what I mean? One of the things that I did was Christmas 2020. I did a TikTok video that blew the fuck up. And Logan Paul and Dr. Phil got wind of it.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. And it went.
Wait, I gotta look this shit.
You've probably seen it. I'll be able to send it to you when I finish. But yeah, okay. So this guy, I talk about like how to become high status instantly. And this guy does a mock of it. And you do the duets and stuff like that. But then I started seeing it like it was being like Logan shared it to Mike Malak, then Lana Rhodes, then fucking Dr. Phil was going to put it on his show and all this shit. And I'm like, yo,
that's crazy.
The hate that was coming from that because I was talking about hierarchies. And so as you said, you're just like, oh man, like, like you feel like you want to like succumb to it. But then you're like, and then I was like, no. And this is right around Christmas. So we weren't allowed to see our family because of border closures and stuff in Australia. You probably heard all the fucking chaos that's been going here. And so I had no family, no nothing. And I'm getting this. I'm like, holy fucking shit. But then, as I said, what saved me and what's probably saved you too, because I know, millions and millions of views, is just your boundaries and your ethics in terms of what you will stand for and what you don't stand for, which is good. And you've learned over your experience, you know what I mean? You had to learn those experiences.
Oh, no, 100%. And that's what I'm saying. It's really fucking hard because you want to stand on your opinion really, really fucking hard. And it is really hard when people are telling you what you said or what you did was wrong. And sometimes the way that you message things or you think you're going to message things, like people take it a whole different fucking way. I think that the part that people forget is like when you send a message out into the world, whatever it is, a video, whatever, what you really thought that you were trying to portray is maybe way different than the way people are viewing it and seeing it. And it's just crazy to see how that like translation happens. All the time. You probably know this is like, you could be thinking a video is going to like kill it. And you're just like, yo, this makes so much sense. And then you post it and you're like, dude, everybody's like, yeah, shit sucks. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And you're like, damn.
That's why I think
it's hard to communicate some of those things.
I think podcasting is this thing. So I have this idea, and I've been watching Jordan Peterson and Joe Rogan talk about it recently, that the short form content, the TikToks, and this, the that, and the shorts on YouTube, it is now actually being detrimental because like the long form, like we're an hour and 15 minutes in getting into like boundaries and ethics of like pleasing people or not appeasing people and being congruent to who you are. But it's taken us that long to get to that point where it's like someone had to listen to this whole thing for us to know and go, okay, these are their points. This is what it is. But when it's 15 seconds, 30 seconds, that's where the tricky shit is. because misinterpretation
Yes.
is bad. You can't get all the information out. I don't know about you. I try to speak so fucking fast on these things.
Oh my God. That's what I'm saying. Oh, like amazing point. And that's what I was talking about before, like at the beginning of the podcast. So I said, I fucking hate the TikToks. I'm on the TikTok. I fucking hate it. I literally, cause I'm like, okay, I have to think of something funny as fuck in 15 seconds. Like that's not me. That's not authentically me. Like that's me coming up with an idea and trying to put this like whole thing together for you to kind of get the idea within as quickly of a time as fucking possible. And by doing that, you're losing half the meaning. I can't really give you the secret sauce because you're really just going to get a tiny taste and you're never really going to know exactly how I feel or what the fuck is going on. Yeah. People are making these crazy ass judgments about you based off of 15 to 60 seconds of your voice or your conversation or your idea. And it's completely like ludicrous.
Even the girls too. Even the girls.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's what it is. I mean, they think I'm this crazy person. Then they meet me. I literally had 2 handwritten letters for my birthday, and both of them, the whole letter was just like, I started working for you. I didn't know what to expect. I thought you were going to be this guy, and you were just the complete opposite of everything that you look like you are in your content. Yeah. And I'm just like, this sucks because I'm trying. That's what's fucking crazy. I'm a genuine guy. I'm authentic. If people are telling me that what they're seeing online is completely different than who I am in person, I'm like, I'm not really doing a good fucking job. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not doing a great job at like being able to portray myself in that fashion, but it's just the nature of the content. It's like, you have to modify almost like who you are and what you do to get people's attention. So it's like the things that I'm trying to do to try to relate to someone very quickly isn't maybe genuinely 100% me, but I know that what I'm going to say or do is going to catch your attention.
Going to get that. Yeah.
That's what it really is. It's more about catching people's attention rather than delivering them really, really true value. That's the facts, and it's really hard pill to swallow, really, but it's the society we live in now.
Society.
You know what I mean?
Even your attention with a girl, even your attention as a girl to a guy, that's the most, that's what people, advertisers are paying for now. Attention.
Yeah. Literally attention.
You know what I mean? That's the wild shit. You know what I mean?
And that's what I tell people in dating too. It's like, I think I might have seen it somewhere, but like the only currency that you have is your attention. Like that's what you need to realize when you're dating people. It's like, think about the way that you talk or again, give somebody attention as like the thing that is your value. You know what I mean? It's like you texting a girl is giving them some of your currency. So you need to just make sure that the currency that you are giving them is coming back in the same way. It's almost like simple economics. Yeah. And then honestly, it's all about supply and demand. It's like when you have all of these people trying to get at you, the demand for you is going to go up. You have all these people that are coming for you. But when shit's not going well and you've got no one around you, got no girls, you got no demand. You got no supply. You know what I mean?
You're like,
all that shit is way down.
Does anyone want some? Crazy. Does anyone want some?
Exactly.
That's scarcity. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
It's crazy how we look at everything because the way that we buy a fucking product on Amazon is the same way that we kind of date in a way. We want the most bang for our buck. You know what I mean? For my person, I want to date somebody that I think is more valuable than me, or at least equal. You know what I mean?
Amazon is the new dating app.
Yeah. It's like people are always, everybody wants a value. Everybody wants to feel like they're getting something great for not so much they have to give. That's just the way it is.
Thriving in society. Yeah. It comes back to, and that's why it's just like, the things that you're doing, it's fantastic because it actually, even though there's a message behind it, you're able to get it to the people with humor, which is fantastic.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's really good because it takes the seriousness out of the topic. And I try to get it as unserious as possible because you have to be flowy in order to be energetic as you are. You got to be flowy and happy and enjoy the fucking process, no matter if that's a rejection or not. That's one of the greatest things that you give is that humor.
Thank you. It's hard. I mean, it's a hard thing to do because like, here's the other thing too. Like, I love the dating stuff. I really do. Don't get me wrong. It's amazing. I'm so passionate about like, I'm doing dating coaching now as well. So I do like texting and whatever, like voice notes and stuff, or like, coaching calls. So I'm like really early in my coaching career. I'm sure you're getting like people in groups and shit. I'm not at that point.
Okay.
But like, that part to me is fucking amazing. I love it and everything else. But when it comes to creating dating content, it's like, man, sometimes I just wish I just would only do comedy, or like it gets tiring having to like give that type of serious talk to people. People eventually, like you said, if you don't inject some humor in it or you don't make it light and fun, at some point or another, people are just going to keep scrolling because, you know, informationally, it's not that attention grabbing. Like, right. I don't really want to learn right now. I want to see something fucking stupid. You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather fucking see something quick and dumb than listen to this guy talk about fucking dating. So I don't know. I really want to get to a point. I've really thought sometimes about just like, not like abandoning the dating stuff. Like it's always going to be there, but just really trying to take more of even the comedy route.
The comedy route.
Going. Yeah. But I love this stuff though, too. I mean, educating people and helping people in their lives. Like you said, being a mentor to someone is fucking incredible.
Yeah.
There's no better feeling knowing that like somebody came in with like extreme anxiety or extreme sadness, or like they couldn't find their way. And you just talk to them for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and you like talk them off a ledge and they just feel so much better. There's nothing more rewarding to me than like that fucking feeling right there. So I think the coaching's never going to leave, but like you said, making things like light and fun for people it's tough, especially with the topics that we're on.
Yeah. The tough topics, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Because it's like, fuck yeah, relax guys. We're fucking already stressed. Everyone's already fucking stressed. Just have some enjoyable shit to it. Then you see fucking Twitter wars and Instagram, TikTok fucking rants and light. I'm like, man, just relax guys. Fuck.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. It's like, people are just it's crazy how negative people are online. It's really wild to me. Like the TikTok comments, I fucking hate them. Like, I'll tell you this right now. Like when I post a video, I see like the first 10 comments and I promise you I'll never look at that video ever again.
No, me too.
I won't check the comments. I'm not tapped into what people are saying, because as soon as you get into that realm of like looking and seeing all, it's like, dude, people are just picking on shit. Like they don't care. They don't even care about the content half the time. They're literally just there to try to like get a rise out of you or make you feel some type of way or try to attack your insecurities. I really don't understand it, because let me tell you something. I've never like gone online and thought to myself, man, I'm going to go shit on this person. But I think really what it is maybe it's like younger kids. So I guess when you're an adolescent,
like, I'm going to mess up their day.
I'm like, exactly.
Yeah, you're like,
I guess that's how it was when I was in high school. You know what I mean? When I was in high school, I'm sure I was doing that shit. I was like, fuck everyone.
Again, you know, like, the funny thing is they're trying to find their position in the status game. They're just trying to find something.
Yeah.
You know, they've got nothing in it. And I have a look at a great example, you know, with you and your gang with the water pistols and stuff like that. The funny thing is, in evolutionary psychology and the human mating strategy, it's like, even looking at that group, what is that group? It's another tribe, which there's levels to the tribe. So the thing that you're going after is like the status and the success, even though you had that in your group also. You know what I mean?
Oh, of course.
That's the same with the Twitter trolls and the TikTok. They're just trying to find their position. You know what I mean? And again, same thing. It's just like, man, I understand human behavior is very interesting. It's what the topic I love. You know, I love where. Same. Like even like last night, probably the girl here. Like I got stood up last night by a girl that stood me up last time, but she organized this date, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. To me, it's like, you know, I'm supposed to be this coach and this almighty thing, but I'm like, even you know, you have to suffer it in order to learn. You know what I mean? The best people, and like me and you, it's like in talking about the subject, is like we've learned so fucking much. We've had so much shit happen. You know what I mean? In order to know it, you know what I mean? You're not perfect. Like as you said, Kobe and LeBron and stuff like that, is like they've failed so many fucking times at it.
Yeah, that's 100%.
That's why they're good. It's like, and if I could tell guys and girls, especially, what would be the message that you would give? Like, you know, one message for your audience, you know, the girls and the guys, if they could just get that one message to understand about dating, about, you know, it's a tough one. Put you on the spot.
Hard. Yeah, that's.
Well, you
really
can think
hard.
about it. You can digress. Like, what was the one thing that you before didn't know and now you do know, and you're like, oh, like if only I knew that before.
You're talking about just dating in general,
or just anything like that. Just, you know, socializing or social skills or dating, or, you know, just interacting with people.
I think the biggest thing I think I realized is everything's based off perception. And that's something that sometimes we don't really understand or we don't see sometimes. Is it's like it's kind of like what we're talking about right now, about like people you don't realize what people see, right? Like as a human, we think that people are so tuned into what we are doing and who we are as people, but we don't realize how different a person may view us in their mind comparative to how we view ourselves. It's completely two different things. It's just like the message thing that we talked about. Sometimes you're sending out a message that you think that they're going to understand and get 100%, and they receive that shit way fucking differently than you really thought. And I think that's the biggest thing when it comes to relationships and dating is like in those times of rejection or in those times that you like things that don't go right, you cannot assume that the reason that they didn't work out is because you are who you are. It's not because you suck. It's not because you're ugly. It's not because you're not hot or whatever, all the shit that you think in your head. It's just based on whatever perception they had of you is fucking off. And it's probably completely different than the way that you think about yourself. And just like being able to just kind of stop and think about perception and again, just like realizing that what somebody's viewing is different than what you were viewing. It just makes life a little bit easier because you realize just how complex everything is around you. You know what I mean? I don't know how the best way to explain it.
No, that's a really good fucking point. That's an incredible fucking point.
It's just crazy because again, we like dating gurus and everything. And that's why I always say too, it's like, there isn't like set moves. Like I always tell people like, life is fucking random as fuck. Like we have, as much as you think you have control, you fucking don't. You have absolutely no control. Actually, you really don't. You could put yourself in a better position hypothetically, but like I said, the girl that you double texted 6 times or the guy that you texted 6 times, yeah, maybe he didn't respond well to it, but maybe the other person that, you actually said, okay, I'm going to ignore them, thought that you didn't really like them and then also walked away. So which one really is it? You know what I mean? That's what I always tell the time. It's like, you don't really know how someone's going to take the things that you are doing. So the biggest thing for me is like, don't overthink your actions. Don't overthink, oh, what if I did this? If I just did this better, then I'd be better. And I love how girls always in their mind are like, if I was hotter, if I just had this, or everybody's always like, if I just, like you said, they're always saying like, oh, if I just, bro, that's not the truth. The way that somebody views you and perceives you is their own agenda. They have their own mind working in their own fucking way. Like, I always tell girls, I'm like, you think if you were hotter, this guy would like you? Guess what? Kim Kardashian's gotten cheated on. Beyonce's gotten cheated on. All these celebrities that are the hottest girls in the world, guess what? They all get cheated on. You're not the only one. You know what I mean? Like, just because you have more money or you were hotter, it wouldn't have solved anything. Because again, maybe the way that guy lived their life, maybe he's a toxic asshole. And the way that he views people is just, he wants to just fucking get out. So it had nothing to do with your hotness. It had nothing to do with how you carried yourself. It had nothing to do with the double text you sent him. And we get so tapped into the little moments thinking that those things really matter. But at the end of the day, it's like, you can't control how somebody perceives you. So you need to just stick to your ground. And this is what I say to people is like, you can't change their perception, right? And by doing more action towards them, you're not going to change it. So the only thing you could do is prove it to yourself and just do the things that you truly believe. Do the actions that you truly believe. And guess what? The right people that are supposed to be in your life are going to end up there. And the people that really don't fucking see it, guess what? They're not going to fucking see it and move on. So that's why I said, as quickly as you can, the biggest skill in dating for me, as soon as you feel rejection or something's not going right, the energy, whatever, move on. What are we doing? There's a million fucking people out here with different perceptions on the way that they're going to see you. They didn't walk in your damn shoes for 20, 30 years. They don't know who the fuck you are. You got to let that shit go. It's human relationships. This shit is too hard.
Boom.
You know what I'm saying?
Boom. That was fucking perfect. That's awesome.
Thank you.
That's fucking great.
Appreciate it.
Chris, where can they find you? Where can the people go to support you?
TikTok. I'm on Confidence Chris on TikTok. I hate the TikTok, but you'll probably like it. My podcast is Nappy and Jay. This thing is backwards, but just Nappy, Nappi and J. Any podcasting platform, YouTube, whatever. I got it. It's pretty cool. Instagram, I'm Thick Daddy Nappy, thick with 2 C's, Daddy with an I, Nappy, Nappi. That's pretty much it. Just look me up online, I guess, and you'll find some weird shit on there. I'll tell you that much.
I appreciate it. One of the funnest fucking episodes I've had on this. It's been fun.
I appreciate that.
Thank you so much, my friend. And I look forward to seeing what you come up with and in the future and seeing if you deviate a little bit from the dating company or see what you do. But I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.